Hello and welcome to another Reaconteur video, and in today's video I'll be ranking the best full modes and types sold. This means Bankai, Segunda, and Volsterndic. Make sure to subscribe since only about 20% of the people watching right now are actually subscribed. And go watch part 1 where I ranked every partial mode like Shikai, Shrifts, and Partial Resurrection. Also, just because one mode may specifically counter one higher up on this list doesn't mean it deserves to be higher than that mode. Berserk counters some things and is lower due to overall versatility, which is why this list is going to be ranked based on versatility and overall use cases in anything. That means overworld ganking, clan wars, when you're getting jumped, boss raiding, etc. Now let's just get into it. And starting at number 47, we have Devil. It doesn't have a res moveset, it literally just heals you. It is absolutely useless. At 46, we have Compulsory, and honestly, I think this was actually tied with Confusion, but I think it's just worse, honestly. Compulsory mode just sucks. Like, it's comically bad. If you've never even seen Compulsory, I wouldn't blame you, because it's just not ever used. But the moves have no AoEs, low stun times, and bad tracking, so it's basically just doing a lot of damage, but every mode does a lot of damage, and the moves are so easy to block and parry. Number 45 is Poison Bankai. I know it does good damage, but you just kinda can't do anything with it. Sure, it's good in 1v1s, but it has no versatility and isn't good in ganks or clan wars or any alternative to a 1v1 scenario that you might find yourself. And even then, it's not even good in 1v1s against other mode users, because if you pop your Poison Bankai on someone, and they pop basically any other mode, they're going to beat you. Unless it's, compulsory Volsterndic, then you might win. And number 44 is Confusion. It's an amazing 1v1 Bankai, but for the fact that it lacks versatility and good use cases, it makes it ranked this low. Sure, you can win 1v1s against players who can't block, but you won't be getting carried by Confusion through clan wars, ganks, boss raids, or basically anything that isn't a 1v1 against someone with a terminal brain illness. I can already hear people crying in the comments saying, "But I do good with the Bankai!" Bro, I don't care. Do you know what an outlier is? You'll do good with any fucking Bankai if you can use Confusion. So switch and use basically anything else above it on this list. Your results will be the same or better, guaranteed. At 43, we have the Wind Volsterndic. Yes, it is pronounced wind, as in to wind up something. Don't correct me, it's not wind, it is wind. Watch the show. Regardless, wind is just kinda mid. The best part about it is the passive that gives you auto dodge frames that regenerate, but the moves itself are kinda mid, and honestly, they don't even do that much damage compared to modes even below this one, which is honestly kind of impressively bad. But, the passive is good enough to bring it up to 43 because you're basically invincible for like, what, 10 hits every 15 seconds? I don't know. It's actually kind of crazy. At 42, we have Panthera. It has one move. It's a very good move, but it's still only one move, so it's just kind of not a good res overall. Funnily enough, because of Hakuda combos, Panthera is still not the second worst, barely in front of Devil, because at least its one move is really good, and true combos with Hakuda to do like 4 bars. At 41, we have Iron. The ranged ball move does a ton of damage, and the other two moves combo well with Hakuda, but overall, Iron just can't compete with many of the later entries because damage isn't enough to solo carry a mode, even if you can do it into combos. Because, every mode past this either does more damage, has better combos, has better evasives, has better something, utility, anything. Iron's just kind of mid. But at 40, we have the Power. Power is actually a decent Volsterndic because it can deal damage, and in ganks, it can set up your friends for combos, meaning you can just like have 2 power users infinite comboing people, which is really funny. The best use for Power is definitely for setting up combos for your friends, so it's actually pretty good in ganks and clan wars. At 39, we have Fear. After some tragic nerfs, it remains surprisingly mediocre, even with the Fear shutdown effect. A year ago, this could have made the top 10 easily, even among the best modes today, but ever since its nerfs, which are like every 3 updates for the past year, it's just been very mid. At 38, we have Fire Shikai. It's not bad, but honestly, it doesn't specialize in anything, and it's not special enough to warrant placing it any higher. It's kind of just mid at everything. Also, the Earth Shatter move is for some reason blockable, even though it's coming from below you. Can we, change that, devs? That would actually make Fire Bankai really good. At 37, we have Acid Bankai. Acid Bankai is literally only good for ganks because you could hit a lot of people at once, since all of Acid's Bankai is AoE, and they're all like bubbles that pop and damage people with damage over time. At 36, we have Spirit. I wonder if anyone paused the video, commented, and said "Oh, Acid isn't a Bankai." If so, you got baited. Anyway, Spirit is 36 because it has one move, but this move is extremely good. The other 2 moves do get buffed, which is also decent, but Spirit is mostly carried by the Spirit combo doing crazy damage and stunning for long enough for you to go into another combo most of the time. It's funny how the things before it on this list are just so insanely bad that one move and a little bit of buffs to the other 2 moves is good enough to land at the 36th spot in a 47 item list. At 35, we have Judgment. It is one of the worst Shikais, but its Bankai is at the very least usable. Funnily enough, half of this Bankai's intended features don't work, as the evidence feature isn't even in the game as it's supposed to be, but overall, the two moves that it does have are pretty good because they both go into combos, and they both actually combo into each other, I believe. At 33, we have Benihime, which is so sad to see. This Bankai is honestly just kind of pathetic. The regeneration is amazing. Like, you can out-regen some of the Bankais before it in damage on this list if you have, a defensive playstyle, but Benihime has the best endurance tool in the entire game with the health regeneration. However, the M1s are watered-down blood M1s, and the two moves are honestly just kind of mid, and it lacks AoEs and damage, and it just has long cooldowns for, like, no reason. At 32, we have Visionary. Honestly, while the Shrift is just not even mid, it's just straight up bad, the Volsterndish isn't actually that bad. Once you get your clone down, you can get your imagination. Yeah, that's what I said. You can get your meter up super fast, and the Volsterndish moves are actually pretty strong, especially the max imagination ones. I will still to this day complain that this is the least inspired moveset in the game though, and for those of you who don't know why, it's because it was actually originally a spec moveset turned into a Shrift and Volsterndish, so they removed like half of what it was in order to make it balanced. At 31, we have Superstar. James is cool because if you can properly protect him, then you can revive as many times as you want. James also serves as a distraction, which can allow for you to get combos on people you otherwise shouldn't have. Superstar, however, specializes in Art of the Soul raids and clan wars. Since you can launch people like a mile away, this lets you isolate people in clan wars by removing their allies, and it allows you to send people out of the Art of the Soul zone for free kills with minimal skill required in raids, securing you free wins. At 30, we have Shark. The big laser move, which is the T known as Al Sola, is really good. The G move, which is the tsunami waves, are sometimes good in ganks, but in a 1v1, since it's like a 6-second windup, you can just, walk between them, and it's the freest dodge ever. You're not really going to get punished for using it unless someone's using like hyper armor uninterruptible moves like waterfall dance on you, like while you're summoning it, but it's generally just not that great in 1v1s because nobody's gonna get hit by it. At 29, we have Heat. The burner fingers are strong, and basically all the moves in the Volsterndish do a ton of damage and have huge AoEs and do good posture damage. So overall, it's alright, but it's just not gonna compete with some of the stuff later in this video. Hallow, I know you're watching this video, and I know you love to glaze Heat, but bro, it's not like #1 Volsterndish in the game, so stop saying that. At 28, we have Creation. Creation is good in 1v1s, and its large AoEs allow you to gank and boss raid too. Also, you can just stun people for long combos, or if you want to keep them out of the fight for a bit, but Creation's alright, but it's just a little bit mid. It really just doesn't do enough damage in comparison to, most other Bankais past it. At 27, we have Lightning. It is up here for its sheer ease of use, since literally everything auto-targets and sets up for combos, but the damage it deals is a bit underwhelming after its last nerf, so it's just not as good anymore. At 26, we have Blood. I wish it was higher, but if you've ever seen Old Blood, when you compare it into New Blood is honestly kind of pathetic. It has semi-no stun, which back in my day, don't call me Unk for that, it used to have complete no stun. Like, you literally just couldn't hit a Blood user. You'd do the damage, but they would just keep walking and hitting. It was stupid. It also has better Benihime M1s, self-healing, ragdoll combo setups, Yachiru Slash, which is just completely invincible and sets up for another ragdoll into a combo. Blood may seem low on this list, but you guys have to remember that most of these rankings are pretty close, so I think Blood is definitely really viable, and I would honestly put it higher on this list if certain things just didn't specialize in things that were more useful. In 25, we have Ice, which was recently buffed. Ice just does a lot of damage, and the Bankai Freeze effect is basically, like old Suzumibachi ragdoll time, which was crazy. Overall, Ice is decent, and the reason why it's over Blood, though, is because it's more versatile in scenarios where you're going against multiple people because of the Ice effects. I do think in a 1v1 a Blood user would beat an Ice user, though, but this list isn't based on 1v1s, it's based on overall use case and versatility. In 24, we have the heavily underrated Zangetsu. Most people don't use it because its Shikai is mediocre at best, and let's be real, Shikais and your partial modes matter way more than your full modes because you're in your full mode like, what, 10% of the time? But regardless, both the Bankai moves have iframes and frame 1 hyper armor while dealing a lot of damage, making them basically brain dead autopilot moves you can throw out infinitely for no downsides because there's no end lag on them. You can literally just throw out Zangetsu's Bankai moves and nobody's going to be able to do anything about it. In spot 23, we have the recently buffed and actually pretty good Suzumibachi. Some people are going to say this one's rated too high, but now that Suzumibachi is usable more than once in Bankai, you can literally just run around for a minute and one-tap people since it does like 400 damage each use, and I believe the max HP in the game is like 430, so yeah, that's very good. At 22, we have Thunderbolt. The stun times on Thunderbolt are similar to old Suzumibachi ragdoll stuns, making it super strong. It also does a lot of damage, and the TNG moves are true combos into each other for some reason. So, you know, 2-bar true combo that ragdolls and stuns for like 4 seconds. Totally balanced. Yeah, that belongs in the game. At 21, Phoenix Segunda. This is the first boss raid specializing Segunda on the list. The C, which steals 8% health from everyone in your vicinity, is amazing for boss raiding, and it buffs you more the more people are around it, so you just get stronger the more people you're fighting. It does crazy damage, has great AoEs, and it can kill a lot of people very fast, making it good for clan wars and boss raiding as a whole. Right on our top 20, we have Miracle Volsterndish. It is very good. Massive AoEs, great damage, it prolongs itself, making it last longer, it revives you, and overall, it's just really good and really hard to read. It could actually be way higher, but based on the ratings that I did this list on with other people, it got a little bit lower than I think it deserves. But keep in mind, this is the list comprising of 50 people's opinions, so don't blame me, blame the 50 people who voted. At 19, we have Ink. The Painted Black AoE is a crazy debuff. Cuts off all Reiatsu regen, makes moves cost more Reiatsu. Ink slashes on every M1, so it's super easy to disable people's entire kits for like 8 seconds at a time. The Black Ant debuff, straight health and damage debuff, and everything about Ink's Bankai is really strong, which is why Ink is in our number 19 spot. And in number 18, we have the Theater Bankai. While the Shikai is like the worst in the game, the Bankai is pretty good with the G-move Final Play, which has a strange property of canceling literally every move in the game regardless of what it is, even if it has hyper armor because it guard breaks, which means there's no counter to the you just can't do anything about it. Use your move, boom, you get countered. You try and block it, boom, you get guard broken. It's insane. And the T move has a lot of stun that combos into basically anything, which is super underrated. I love Theater's Bankai, one of the coolest in the game. Sadly, the Shikai is trash. In number 17, we have Shadow, which is hard carried by the Shadow Realm domain expansion move that brings people into a world where you can hurt them, but they can't hurt you for about 20 or 30 seconds. It's amazing in Clan Wars because you can run into a group of people and take people in it and let your clan jump the remaining members or two that you left out of it, while you're over there 4v1ing people who can't even fight back. In the 17th spot, we have Glutton, which, you know, it basically has everything you could ever need for a gank. This is actually tied with Shadow in terms of votes, but it has auto executions, longevity through health and Reiatsu steal, does a lot of damage, it has large AoEs, and it's got basically everything except for a gimmick. And for that, it's really... At 16, we have Arrogante. It remains pretty good, but it's been nerfed so insanely hard in comparison to its prime form just like a week or two ago. It's still good, but it does less percentage damage, has less true stun, has less armor piercing. Basically, everything about it has been nerfed severely, so it went from like top 3 in my opinion to number 16 when voted on by people, which is insane. But when True Bankai comes out, it'll probably be reverted to its previous strength. Hey, if you're watching this video, don't say I said that, but when True Bankai comes out, all the Segundas are getting buffed to match it. Also, Sclave Rai. At number 15, we have Bone Segunda. Bone is overall insane because it just has a lot of versatility and works in any scenario. It has auto-tracking projectiles with good damage and stun, massive AoE that cripples people, allowing you to maneuver around large groups of people unscathed, and an auto-tracking combo star that does a ton of damage on its own, that also just like combos into the cripple and then back into itself when it's off cooldown. Bone is crazy! God, I love Bone. Too bad I don't use it though. But in the 14th spot, we have Storm. This move gets insanely buffed in Segunda, but the T move has 4 seconds of true stun, which is just unreasonable. Like, that's just, that doesn't belong in any video game ever. Like, just doesn't. It really doesn't. And the G move is a huge volley that just, like, kills people. It just does a lot of damage. At number 13, we have Berserk Bankai. The Shikai was reworked, but the Bankai was actually only really buffed, so the moves didn't change. Berserk is kind of like if Zangetsu Bankai were better. Both moves are completely uninterruptible and disrupt everything, making them easy to use with massive AoEs and a lot of damage and posture damage and low cooldowns, and you can just spam them. A Berserk player can basically just spam buttons and win most of the time. Like, it actually doesn't take any sort of thinking to use. In the 12th spot, we have Vampire Segunda. Lance is just a nuke, but if you want a nuke, there are better moves with large damage and massive AoEs that we'll cover later. Vamp does, however, have the best survivability of any mode in the game because all of its moves siphon either health, Reiatsu, or both. And the new Payday buff where you can set it off instantly is even better in mode because it ragdolls for longer, meaning the already true combos like Fast Fang, Flash Fang it had have become even truer. At number 11, we have Balance. If I if it were like consistently strong, it could be in our top 5. However, its strength really comes from the people around you, proving that the power of friendship is unequaled and unrivaled. A balanced user in a 6-man party can outheal basically all damage, and nothing short of 2 Suzumabachis is going to kill a party member with a balance spamming order to heal everyone for more than the max possible health in the game. Balance is amazing support and is the best support thing in the entire game. However, in an offensive scenario, it's going to stay at number 11. And just at number 10, the best Volstern dish is Death Dealing. Death Dealing mode is just really good. You get 2 revives, your lethal dosage is super easy to get, so you can just start spamming people with true damage stacks to kill anyone in like 30 seconds. Literal domain expansion with lethal exposure makes it so if you wanted to, you could run away for the entire fight and just poison people and win. But you don't even have to do that because you get 2 free revives with this mode. It's great. At number 9, we have Volcanica Segunda Etapa. It's brain dead, some of the biggest non-nuke AoEs in the game, crazy damage, crazy pressure, and posture damage, unavoidable massive lava streams. You could hide inside your lava geyser for an entire fight and spam moves and win like that if you wanted to. I don't respect you, but it is a possibility. And then at our 7th spot, because there is no 8, we have Light. Overall, one of the strongest Segundas in the game. You get 2 nukes, flower M1s with the stun time included, massive AoE light kick that does like a bar of health, insane brain dead range attack. It's really good and nearly unpunishable. Light is amazing. It also, just the aura emitted on Light. Imagine like it's nighttime, you pop your mode, and then it just shifts to day. Like that's plus 5,000 aura. Like that is insane aura. But at number 6, we have Water Bankai. The best Shikai in the game and barely within our top 5 modes, so once True Bankai comes out, expect this to either be top 3 or remain underpowered in comparison to its Shikai. Then again, the Shikai might be getting gutted soon. Water Bankai, however, is still extremely good with massive amounts of Reiatsu stealing ability and great damage with large AoEs. Even if the moves dealt no damage, the Reiatsu steal is enough to drain an entire person, in like the 20 seconds of move spam that you're going to be throwing out in your Bankai. Alright, just in our top 5, we actually have some very close results. Every mode past this point is marginally better than every other one. Like here, there is a bigger difference between our bottom 2, with one of which just doesn't have a mode, than between number 5 and number 1. So honestly, most of these can be interchangeable. But starting at number 5, we have Flower. Flower has some of the best M1s of any mode in the game. They stun for super long against a lot of people without frame 1 evasive moves. You can just like infinite combo people. The domains make this even easier because people can't run from you, and you know, with Flower, like the G move applies bleed and then sets people up to get infinite chain by your M1s again. Absolutely insane. At number 4, we have Stark Segunda. Stark is so good, and honestly, I think it's interchangeable with number 3 easily, which is Duality. Sorry for the spoiler, but I love Stark. The gun M1s are long range, do a ton of posture damage, can't be punished even if you get parried because they're the longest ranged M1s in the game. 2 Cero Metralletas, Buster is like 8 dogs now, and the entire thing does like a bar and a half of damage. Killshot does a bar, is also a counter and evasive. Devastator does a bar, the crit guard breaks from range. Oh my god, I love Stark. It's so much fun to use. And best of all, Stark hard counters Flower. You can always stay out of range of a Flower user, and if they put you in their domain, you're not trapped in there with them, they're trapped in there with you, because you have Cero Metralleta and it is bigger than the Flower domain, so they're about to eat 3 bars of damage. And Stark is also just so fun to use. Like, I love it. It's easily, in my opinion, the most fun to use mode in the game. It's so much fun. At number 3, we have Duality. Duality does a lot of damage, has hyper armor, has large AoEs, has short cooldowns, and even if it had cooldowns, you have double the moveset, so it doesn't really matter. Switch to white, spam. Switch to black, spam. There's really nothing people can do about it, and you could just keep pressing T, G, ZX, and C on your keyboard, and it's just like, it's absolutely brain dead. In number 2, we have Slash Segunda. This does the most damage in the game per second right now. The stun is insane, absolutely massive AoEs. The slash grid move is literally the size of Cero Metralleta, except it moves forward and has no wind up. You just like Sukuna domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine, cut everyone around you a billion times. Slash Segunda is amazing for everything. You also just like can't block most of its moves. It's just brain dead. And at the number 1 spot, we have Kyoka Shigetsu. Strongest mode in the game, most aura in the game. Oh my god, the cutscene is insane. And it's all because of one stupid move and the absolute amount of aura that is emitted by it. The T move disables literally all movement on your opponent, which is cool and all, but the G move literally just swaps your health, posture, and Reiatsu with the target, so ideally you eat every hit they have until you're one shot and they're full health, and you just swap with someone and boom, you win the fight. And it works for literally everything ever. You just can't lose a fight with this. And if you do, not only do you suck, but you swallow. Kyoka Shigetsu, it's unequaled, unrivaled, it beats literally everything. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe. Shout out to YouTube members Rayont, Jake, Kenix, Cyberboy21, and J. Cole Fan. I love you all. Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.